Hi, I'm Adam Hamilton. Today we're going to be interviewing the one and only Lance Priebe. He is the co-founder of Club Penguin and currently the CEO of Hyper Hippo Studios. And the reason for all of this today is because I'm creating my own game with all of you. As you know, Club Penguin Island was shutting down, and I quit the community back in 2016 September when I created Outside the Box. But I always kept my Twitter account to stay active, and I saw that all of you, in particularly, were pretty sad about it. And I wanted to be able to keep a way to keep the community together and keep everything that the community stood for and kept that going. So as a result, we are currently making a game together and some sort of game platform, something along those lines. And we've been working on about it for about a month now. And it's we've kind of run into some walls here and there, and I think the best way to be able to fix those solutions is to talk to the master of games himself, Lance Priebe, and try to get some insight onto how to make one. So I'm going to go and give him a call right now, and then when I come back, we will be starting the interview. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back in just a second. All right. Woo! A little bit of stressfulness there, but we're all right. We're all right.
Cool.
So, Lance, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. This is really definitely a cool experience for me, and I am glad everybody else that's here can watch that as well.
Okay, cool.
All right, so let's begin. My first question for you is: what was the biggest issue, in your opinion, of developing and/or creating Club Penguin?
Oh my goodness. It was like every waking day. um, Before Club Penguin, it was Penguin Chat. And I actually created experimental penguins first. And that was just my attempt to experiment. That was back in, I think, 2001. So I'm getting old now. I just wanted to see if it was possible. And we did get it working. That problem early on was bandwidth was too expensive, so we couldn't actually keep it online at that time. Couldn't afford the cost because I didn't have any way to make money. Later in its history, we had no problem because a little secret here is Penguin Chat 3 is Club Penguin.
Yeah.
So the entire server and structure and everything behind Club Penguin was being tested live with players in Penguin Chat 3. It's just the items, catalogs, and minigames were not there. So I was trying to do it stealth to make sure the server was stable, everything was good. But everything felt perfect. We went to the beta in October 24th, 2005. And promptly a month and a half or so later, so basically by January of 2006, the server couldn't handle it. Too many people showed up, everybody did it. So I actually rebuilt the entire game again in January 2006. That is many people ask why were there no ninjas at launch, even though they were promised, they were all hinted. They were actually in the items, a lot of the hackers. There was an old hacker called Green Day. He actually found all the items, everything. Because the ninjas were supposed to be added and created, but because I had to rebuild the whole server system, I stopped all new features and just started rebuilding the entire infrastructure. Now, the interesting part is the hardest part of Club Penguin was its growth.
Yeah.
So month after month after month, we just ran into problems that just were unknown. Nobody knew what to do. I don't even remember the order of the problems, but they if you guys are into programming or engineering, you have to remember at the time when Club Penguin came out, there was no cloud computing. We were managing the entire thing in a data center. We grew to millions of active players within 2 to 3 months after launching it.
Wow.
Within 2 to 3 years after launching Club Penguin, we were closing in on hundreds of millions of players, just to give you guys scale here. So January, it didn't work. Had to rebuild it. Actually moved it to SmartFox. It was not on SmartFox when it launched. Then immediately after that, the forever problem of Club Penguin occurred, which is friends and buddy lists.
Oh, boy.
So originally it was infinite. The system couldn't handle it. It's a login problem. It has nothing to do with the database or the client or anything like that. It has to do with every time someone logs in, it has to check against your list of friends who's online, who's not online, and cross-check. So that's just a multiplying you do the math, it just multiplies exponentially. So if you had 100 people, there's 100 and something. I don't remember the math, how many times you got to check against every player that logs in. So originally there were some players there that were in the tens of thousands of friends already.
Wow.
So it was bringing the server to its knees. It couldn't log in. And we had to reduce all the numbers down to about 100. And sadly, we were never able to actually get that fixed. In the future, I wouldn't have done it the way I did. We shouldn't have asked you to join my friend list. It should have just been like Twitter, where you follow someone and then you can unfollow or follow. That's a better method. The direct message system like Twitter is a far superior one, where it's just if you're both following each other, it's just a check at the time of message. Are you truly a friend? Which you could check at any time. The problem we had is every login had to check every user all the time, and it just hurt with the system. And then it's just a compounding. You're saying the hardest thing was growth. We ran into an issue that puffles killed the servers. So people had hundreds of puffles, and every time you logged in, it had to load the state of your puffle, because you have to remember, puffles work in a clock. They're actually the really early adventure capitalist, which is what Hyper Hippo has today. So the game keeps playing while you're not playing. The puffles kept playing while you were not playing. So we had to calculate the difference of what happened to your puffle the time you were gone. Is it now hungry? Is it agitated? Does it need more food? My favorite is the database is actually labeled, is it dead? Is it alive? What's its health? But according to the team, they said we couldn't tell children that their puffles were dying.
Yeah, that may not be good.
But that sent our servers to its knees. It was just problem after problem after problem. I remember months into after launching Club Penguin, the clock on the databases. So there's actually 12 servers that run all the databases of Club Penguin. And their clocks started drifting. The computers couldn't keep time because of the processing requirement of running the server.
Yikes.
So what would happen is some of the databases wouldn't be in sync with other databases. So they'd start writing over each other. And it was a nightmare. It was an absolute nightmare. We kept rebuying new servers all the time.
Now, you mentioned that there was like 2 to 3 months since the release that you got hundreds of millions of people on there. How did you
The first 2 years.
The first 2 years, yeah. How did you advertise without an audience? Because back then you were kind of like starting fresh as far as getting everything out there. How did you advertise for it, or did it just come to you?
A lot of people think we didn't advertise. That's not true. So there were over 1 million people that played Penguin Chat per year already. So when I asked for a beta test, I just went to the Penguin Chat audience, said, who wants to test? About 50,000 people in the end came over from Penguin Chat to join Club Penguin. Then we already had a deal in place. By the February of 2000, I think it's February or March. I don't remember our official launch date on miniclip.com. If you guys know my story, when I started making Flash games, the first person I started making games for was miniclip.com. So almost back in 1999, 2000, I was developing single-player games for Miniclip. And Rob's great. Rob's the CEO over there. He's fantastic. Still talk lots. And Miniclip's still doing well. You guys are probably all playing their games. It's 8-Ball Pool and Agrario. I never pronounce it right. The one with the IO games.
The Guard.io?
That one.
Yeah.
They're doing great. But that was our launch. So Rob actually always bugged me. The reason Club Penguin actually exists is because of Miniclip. So back in 2002, 2003, 2004, Rob would constantly email me going, I love your Penguin Chat. When can I put it on the front page of miniclip.com? And I'd write back going, well, it only supports 100 users and then it's done. So I said, I need to build a bigger world. So that's what I started working on. So once we got a larger world, I phoned Rob back and said, yeah, it's ready to go. When do you want it on your homepage? And at the time, everyone needs to, we actually had 2 potential partners for launching. Yahoo wanted to launch us and Miniclip wanted to launch us. We decided to go with Miniclip because we thought they were smaller than Yahoo But by the time we launched with Miniclip, they had beaten Yahoo. And Miniclip at that time was 60 million unique players per month playing miniclip.com.
Wow.
So we were on their homepage, so that's 60 million people a month, clicking the first button, Club Penguin, creating an account, and going. So our funnel, it's called a funnel in game industry. Your how do you get people to start playing your game? Our funnel was huge. So 60 million people, of a percentage of that, so let's just, I don't remember what the number was. Let's just say generously it was like 10%. That's still 6 million new people per month playing and starting and going. And that's how we grew so fast. That was our marketing. On the back end, I can't get into the details about it all. But yeah, every user that Miniclip gave us, we added to the database that they came from Miniclip. And then if they became a subscriber, a paying player, or you guys always call it members, we always call them subscribers. The percentage of that money went to Miniclip. So Miniclip made a ton of money.
It's definitely a smart move for them.
Yeah, they almost made half of the money.
Wow.
Of all the subscriptions.
That's insane.
So
throughout the entire time, or just during the launch?
A lot of people don't realize the scope. Disney actually grew Club Penguin past 1 million paying subscribers per month. So you guys can do your math in your head. You guys all saw the numbers. It's like, what wasn't it? Like $7.95 or $9.95 a month times 1 million people per month. Disney did a good job. But it's not me. You guys, a lot of people they always say, it's the mods, it's Billy Bob and Rocket Snail and Screen Hog and all that. No. At its peak with the Walt Disney Company around 2009, you want to talk about other issues. There was over 1,000 people working full time on Club Penguin.
Wow.
We had offices in Sao Paulo, Brazil, Brighton, England, Kelowna, British Columbia, Glendale, California, Sydney, Australia. Full-time people showing up at work, sitting at desks. That was a lot of work. So growth was the hardest thing. We grew from a team of 4 to over 1,000.
That's insane. Now, as far as the game goes, if you're trying to build a new game, or even with that, what would be the program that you recommend for programming?
Oh, wow. I get asked that question often. It's a lot simpler. It's the answer people never want to hear. It's the one you know. So that's actually the truth. It's the one you know. I was a web designer that knew Flash. I made websites. I was one of the lead web designers for the forestry division for John Deere products.
Wow.
That's what I did. We made databases to sell John Deere products, and we made Flash websites to promote John Deere products. So when I built a game, I built it in Flash. I just happened to be the right technology at 2005.
So what's the right technology for 2018 in your opinion?
Right now, I think it's Unity. It's not the most performant. It actually is slow at many features. It will not give you the unbelievable stuff that Unreal and everybody has.
Yeah.
But the reality is that Unity is going to get you to market faster at a lower cost. Everything works with Unity. So Android, Apple, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation, Xbox, web games, WebGL, everything works with it. Now, C# is pretty common for coders. They know what to do.
I'm not very big into programming. I barely know anything about it, but would Unity be able to support 3D renders of, if you made a game, would you be able to create a 3D version within Unity?
Yep.
Okay.
So Unity by its nature is 3D. It supports 2D games. So like Hyper Hippo, we do Adventure Capitalist, it's 2D. All 2D games is the camera in 3D pointing at a flat object. So to make a 2D game, you actually make it in 3D space. It's just a little mind trick you got to get over.
Just a little bit.
It just means you don't use your depth. That's all.
Okay. Good to know, though.
It's faster in a computer to process 3D.
So we talked about Club Penguin. What is, when you started, if you were to, narrow down everything about making the game, what are, 4 steps into making a virtual world? The biggest steps that you have to overcome until you get a finished product.
Oh, biggest steps is all in your head. It's nothing to do with anything. So the first thing is build what you know. So if you're a Flash developer, use Flash. Even though it's dying today, just use Flash. If you're HTML5 developer, use HTML5. If you're JavaScript, use JavaScript. Use whatever you know today. Don't worry about what everybody says. Use Game Maker. I don't care. Game Maker is actually fantastic. We use it for many of our games. Pick what you know, because then you don't have to learn as much more. You're just learning the game design, not learning the new code.
Yeah.
Make the project simple in small, bite-sized steps. So just pick a first goal. My first goal with everything in the Club Penguin universe was, can I make a penguin move and can it throw a snowball? And that was it. That was step one. And I released it to the internet. Step two was, well, can they talk? Because if I can talk through a multiplayer server, I can do anything. Because movement is just talking. If you understand multiplayer, it's just the same thing. It's just sending a signal to multiple clients to play it out. Move a position, change a thing, throw a snowball, make an emote, talk, say, open door. It doesn't matter what it is. They're all actually just messages between clients and servers. So get a message working. Say hello. Hello. Great. You've got almost all the tools now to build a virtual world. Now just layer in all the content. But don't try to take off more than you can chew. So the strength, like I'm coaching the Epic Snails team right now and everything. When you start a virtual world, it's not about what you're going to build in the end. Don't worry about that. Worry about what you can accomplish every week. So we call it cadence. So what is your rhythm? And never miss it. So if your rhythm is every 2 weeks, you're going to release something, then release something every 2 weeks. Because then a year from now, you've released, I can't do the math fast enough, that's 26 updates if you did it every 2 weeks. So whatever that is. So in Club Penguin, we released dead on. I don't think we ever missed, I think we might have missed a party once. But there was never a catalog item update, newspaper Thursdays, nothing got missed. The cadence was dead on for, I think it's 13 years the web version ran.
Yeah.
So if you think that through, that is the most important feature of everything. People look at Club Penguin today and they go, it's got thousands and thousands of things to do. Well, the reality is, and I get people writing me all the time, I want to go play the first version. I'm like, you'd be bored out of your mind. I think it was like 5 or 6 rooms. The doors didn't even open. There was maybe 3 mini games, 1 catalog of, I think, 9 items.
Yeah.
But
it's for nostalgia's sake.
But if you build a schedule, if you release content every single month for 13 years, now when you look at Club Penguin, it has thousands of items. Yeah. Thousands of rooms that have ever been created. If you think of every party as a room, and every party has multiple rooms, and how many rooms are made, and how many parties there are, 12 a year. The art is unbelievable. I actually saw an update file. There are, for all you Club Penguin archivists out there, there are actually over 800,000 Flash files for Club Penguin. Good luck. I've been looking at the archivist. I don't have them, so please don't write me. Everybody keeps writing me. Can you send me the files? I'm like, I don't have them. Disney has them all. But I saw the file update the other day, and I was like, oh, I didn't know we made 800,000 pieces of artwork.
That's insane. That's absolutely insane. I can only imagine the storage that it took to save all that.
Well, they're just Flash. They're tiny.
Earlier on when we talked about the looping process. Could you explain that to everyone watching?
Oh, the looping, like the core loop?
Yeah, the core loop.
Yeah, so the core loop if you guys aren't familiar with the term in video games, there's what's called the core loop. The core loop is, why does your game even exist? What is the core loop of your game? You'll hear this in the game industry a lot. So when you create a game such as, most games, they have the core loop. The core loop usually is I start a level, I do something, I earn something, I do something with what I earn, and then I start another level. I begin the loop again. So you have to figure out what your loop is. Loop should be tight. Okay, this should be what you're doing in a game. Every game, Assassin's Creed, Call of Duty, Club Penguin, all of them have loops. You have to come up with what the core loop is. Core loop is your standard, what you do to play. Club Penguin was pretty simple. You just showed up, and then you tended to be in every one of the hubs, we call them, was identical. So if you took the town was this busy center place that was always confusing, noisy, and you can't really talk. The idea there was you had one of three choices. You had to go to the coffee shop, which was a little bit quieter, more social, but with mini games, so it's somewhere to earn coins. And then further back, deeper into the coffee shop, was always a multiplayer game, which is connect and play and talk, which is exactly the same in the ski plaza. You go into the lodge, and then you went into the Find Four game in the attic. Then we had a more community room. So that's the dance club or nightclub or whatever it ended up being named. There was so much controversy as to what to call it. Then you just dance because the Penguins parties. What else do you think there's going to be? Everybody thought there was going to be rave parties and drugs, but anyway, no, there's no drugs in rave parties.
It's Club Penguin. Come on.
Club Penguin. Everybody was angry. Parents would write us over and over. I was like, fine, we'll call it the discotheque. But that's a social space. You gather, you find things, you hang out, and then the game was more organic. So as people, I don't know if you guys all knew, depending on what you wore, if you were pink or red or whatever, it affected all the light systems, music, everything. You could actually tee up the music tracks depending on what the room was doing.
Oh, wow.
It was all there, but I don't know how people actually knew it was all happening. And then you had somewhere to spend. So that was always a shop. So you had somewhere to, it's exactly the tagline, Club Penguin, waddle around and meet new friends. So you moved around, you talked to people, you played games, you earned coins, you spent them and bought items, repeat. Around and around and around and around and around and around and around we go. And that was its core loop. That it creates motivation as to why you would do each of the activities. And then from there, you create larger loops. So, okay, well, I'm going to do clan management or group management or friend lists. I'm going to do achievement systems, quest giving, etc. So you're just widening the loop. You're now creating a new habit within it. But you got to get the players started with the core loop first.
Yeah. Now, Club Penguin was quite a big game. There was a lot of things that kept it going. There was a lot of community. There was also a lot of updates every week and parties every month. There was a lot that kept it functioning. But in your opinion, what do you believe keeps a game functioning throughout a certain duration of years or even decades?
The audience. It's all up to you guys. If you want to keep running, it's you guys showing up. No, there's more to that than just that's not as simple. It is exactly what you just said there. I believe Club Penguin's success and all games that try to be like Club Penguin. And in the industry, if you guys want to Google it, it's called live ops, is what the actual word is called. Live operations of a game. It's when you don't create a product, you create a service. That's the difference between Club Penguin and Call of Duty. A large box game tends to be a product. A development team built what they thought was the best vision at the time and gave it to you. You, the fan, then consumes it. No different than buying a coffee. I'm buying a coffee, consume it. A service game like Club Penguin is more like a resort or a hotel or somewhere you go. We're here to serve you. So the attitude's a lot different. But we have to constantly be providing you changes and updates to the systems that you're very interested in the content. And then, of course, the community, you guys rally each other. You call each other to that content. There's a great book. When I started Club Penguin, I read it, and it's always changed. It's written by Seth Godin. It's called Tribes. Tribes is fantastic. Club Penguin is a perfect example of what's called creating a tribe. And Tribes, the book talks about myself, the designers and leaders. It says the tribe is just waiting for someone to start it. The tribe is just a group of people with a common interest. You guys have I talked to all the fans of Club Penguin. You guys are all the same interesting. You like the quirky little rooms, the happy environment, the odd jokes, it's just this odd, different. You're not an audience that's going out to crush each other. You're not an audience that's racing. You're not like trying to be first and climb up leaderboards or anything. You're your own audience, which is called a tribe. You all have a common interest. That tribe just wanted somewhere to gather. And that's what the leader, myself, is supposed to do. We're supposed to create an environment and a place to say, come and be your tribe, and then let you run it. And that's the most important part. And the book Tribes is fantastic. And if you ever read it, you'll go, that is Club Penguin. We facilitated a tribe. You guys led it. You were the tribe. And we just followed along.
Now, when it comes down to games, there's a lot of successes and there's also a lot of failures. And I'm sure,
failures.
Yeah, there's a ton of failures within developing. But within your experience, have you ever taken certain aspects of a game that failed and incorporated it into another?
Always. The entrepreneur in me, you always have 3 outcomes. So you should always be asking yourself every single day, are you making the best choice with what you know today? Because yesterday you had different information. Today you're going to have even more information. So first of all, you got to ask yourself that, because the worst thing you can do is 6 months from now still be building your plan you came up with 6 months ago when you realized you shouldn't anymore. The audience didn't like it, something happened, whatever. One of your tests failed. But as an entrepreneur, you learn that there's the 3 P's in business. You learn that you have to make a choice. You either got to persevere. I think this is good. This idea looks good. It's going to keep going. People are liking it. We're getting audience. They're interested. They're coming back. You're going to pivot, which means the idea is I like the vision of the idea, like how you built it is not right. So your question about should it be 3D, should it be 2D, should it be medieval, science fiction, fantasy, your game model might be right. You might have the wrong platform or something. Like right now, Epic Snails is on Steam. It's a great Steam game. Actually, a lot of Steam people like it. The reality is we look at the data, and all you guys, thanks for coming out and trying it. You actually went out and installed Steam just to play Epic Snails, which is a bad indicator, because that means you're not a Steam player and we shouldn't be on Steam. So we're going to mobile, because according to our data, you all looked in and followed the tweets on your phones and then installed Steam. So we built it on the wrong platform. That's a pivot, right? And then, of course, the last P is perish. Should it die and move on to a new idea? Many of those, your next idea will always be built off your last idea, because you're going to learn something. All your learnings will keep going to your better idea next. Yeah. So that's what we're doing.
Now, how long do you typically work on an idea before you start creating it?
Me? The idea phase could take years. Just noodling with the idea, most of them are still when I was a kid, so I'm still just trying to build them. Taking an idea to actually a prototype, so actually being able to test it or play it. I try to do that within a month or so, month to 2 months to get to a prototype. Prototype can be really rough. I don't know if you guys ever played the first Adventure Capitalist. We had one developer build it in just a couple weeks. It's a text game only. It was all on one screen. It was on a web browser. It was just buttons. It just had text, and all you did was click them. That was it. That game, so we built a prototype and we test them. So Hyper Hippo, reason why we're the hyper part, is we test a lot of ideas. So in our first couple of years of Hyper Hippo, we actually built 200 prototypes and put them on the internet and tried to get people to play them. So we try to get about 100,000 people to play a game before we make a decision, should we kill it or not? And that's not always true. The multiplayer games are about 10,000 or so. They're harder to get more people on multiplayer. The Adventure Capitalist game, within about a week, had over 1 million people play it.
Wow.
And we went, that's a game. People are interested. And you can tell right away. The biggest indicator to a successful game is did they come back? So when you build a game and they play it once, most people will try a game once. That's great. When they come back and play it the second time, now that's an important number. In our industry, we call that the D1, day one return retention. What you're looking for always in our industry is the D1, and then you want to know the D3 through D7. So third day and 7 day. If you got a person playing for 7 days, you're going to make money. You got a person playing for 1 day, you're not going to make money. You actually need someone around 3 to 7. Almost all free-to-play games, people pay in 3 days.
Wow.
Like that might surprise a lot of people. Like it's within those first. Well, the freakiest part is you'll know a game works within 3 minutes. If they turn off and delete the game within 3 minutes, you just check those numbers. If 100 people show up and 2 people stay longer than 3 minutes, you do not have a successful game.
Good to know. I was personally curious on what was it like when Club Penguin and or Adventure Capitalist became globally renowned and became like a household title. What was that like?
Oh, Venture Capital is still only in the United States. We're working on the language versions right now.
Yeah.
What was it like?
It expands to hundreds of millions of people. That must feel incredible.
The reality, guys, is I was so busy showing up, just trying to keep the servers alive. We barely could keep them alive. So we were just like firefighting every day that I never actually stopped I do regret this. I never stopped to actually go, wow, we made something incredible. And I didn't stop. No, it just was like trying to make sure it was alive and running. I don't think everybody realizes it was like on threads most Saturdays. It was like, it's not going to live.
Yeah.
The servers cannot take it. I keep thinking Star Trek with Scotty. Can't take anymore. I had a couple Saturday mornings where 200,000 people were connected simultaneously.
Wow.
So, and the server had no idea what to do. And you guys are all screaming and yelling because you're like, rooms are full, can't get in, make more. We're like, how?
I always
remembered 600 physical servers running this thing.
I always remembered, particularly like when I was meeting Rockhopper or like you or Lane popped into a room and all the servers were full and everyone was trying to get in. Was it true that moderators and mascots could get into those full rooms? Because I always remember hearing that as a rumor that they have an exception.
So how it worked, I don't remember the actual numbers anymore. I think every room had a 200 user limit. So if you were a non-paying subscriber, we let you in. As soon as the room got to about 80, you would see it being full at 81. If you were a paying subscriber, we'd let you go into about 120 or so. And then we'd leave the top gap for our team to get in. So that it was like more of a throttled limit. So a room didn't have a set number. It was set to your account.
Because I always felt like the non-members and the members, I definitely saw that there was a difference with that, but I didn't know that it worked along with staff as well. But I was always curious.
We had to get in for moderation in case there was a security risk or something going on. I wish one day we'd do a documentary on that, but there was most people don't know that actually in the Club Penguin main studio here, there are offices for each of the law enforcements around the world to sit in.
Oh, wow.
To work with these moderation and safety teams. We would be working with Scotland Yard, RCMP, FBI often.
That's insane. That is insane.
Keep you kids safe.
The side of Club Penguin you have not heard about.
And a lot of law enforcements work with us regularly. We were not, it wasn't a random phone call. That's why there was desks. They were in the office working.
Wow.
There would be issues, case files, kids there were a lot of amazing stories. I remember actually one story, one lonely kid in the United States was in Club Penguin saying he or she was going to commit suicide. And the moderation teams, we detect all this right away, escalated it. We notified the FBI. well, we under law, because we're Canadian, we had to notify the RCMP. The RCMP then notifies the FBI. We can't actually go across the border.
Yeah.
So there is a code of rules. The FBI were at the kid's door, I think it was an hour to 2 hours after the notification.
Wow.
Took the kid to the hospital and then notified us that everything's good and blah, blah, blah. So we actually don't know the whole story, but this was often.
That's incredible. I never knew that. I didn't. Wow. That's incredible though. Wow.
There were a lot of it was a lot of interesting stories in Club Penguin. I wish we'd get more books. It was also why a lot of people say, why do you still make games like this? It's because this is the impact it had. It had more. You guys see the tribe. You're all excited about your communities and groups. What we saw was hundreds of thousands. We saw them, New York kids coming home latchkey. They'd let themselves into their house, and Club Penguin was their babysitter until their parents got home. And they'd talk to their moderation teams. The number of dads deployed in military conflicts that would log in to play with their kids every night before bedtime is hundreds of thousands. We tried to build all these tools so these dads would come in. They'd go sled racing for hours with their kids. They don't get to see them. They're across the world deployed in a military conflict or something, and that we'd work with the armed forces to make sure that they'd have direct logins to the accounts and stuff. Kids in children's hospitals where they were left out, where their entire classrooms of kids would log in to play with the kid that's in a children's hospital. We'd try to make sure that the computers and everything worked out of the hospital so the kid could be part of the class. Wow. It's not one or two stories. There are hundreds of stories.
Yeah.
And that's why we woke up every day and build this game. That was the big part.
Yeah, I mean, I personally always remember I was sick from school one day, and I logged on during the time that my class would have recess, and I think this was like back in 4th grade, and my entire class came on to see how I was doing while I was at home and they were in the classroom. And like, I always remember that personally, so it's really cool to see that kind of experience happens to so many more people on so many different levels. It's really cool.
And then and then there's the stupid side. So, kids. Like, everybody wanted to know why you couldn't trade items and everything. It's because we'd get photos. So kids would be in classrooms and they'd all write their usernames and passwords on the chalkboard of every single kid in the entire classroom.
Oh, jeez.
Our support teams are trying to organize why, let's say, Sally has her igloo erased now, and all her items and all her coins were spent.
I mean, I know Tamagotchis used to have like an item sharing thing, and personally for me, whenever my sister wasn't using hers, I transferred her items over to me, that like the expensive TV, and she was so mad about it.
Never had a trade.
Yeah, I think that's for good reason. So that's all the questions I have for you, but now I'm going to open it up to everyone who's watching, and we're going to take some questions and have you answer them. So this is the time. If anybody in the chat has a question for Lance, comment it and we'll answer. But if not,
and this is my board game collection.
Wow. Got a couple games up there.
Half of it.
You're
into making video games, collect board games. It's a great way to do it. You get to sit there and read the rules. You get to walk your way through that. Like I said, the core loop. What is the core loop of the game?
Yeah.
So you get to line by line break it down. A lot of people paper prototype. They don't actually program. We actually work it all out in paper first.
So somebody just asked, what board games do you really enjoy?
Really enjoy? Wow. Well, drat. It's not here. It's in my car. Well, we haven't. If you guys haven't heard, I started a board game company. So we have a battle royale board game. I'm liking playing that one right now. We're actually going to have it. It's on a boat almost to the United States within about a week. So it's going to be starting to sell on Amazon soon. Wow, I really enjoy that one. It's called Last One Standing. It's a battle royale. The whole storm, everything you're running, collecting loot. It's pretty cool. To answer that question directly, though, I love Dominion. It's a collecting card game. It's a card game. I actually have way too many of them. have way too many of them. I am one of the North American semifinalists for the tournaments for Dominion.
Wow.
So I got to keep my title up, but I haven't had the time yet. I really don't like going. It's like 4 days of playing one game for like 8 hours.
It's quite a lot. It's quite a lot.
But yeah, I love Dominion.
Let's see. Red Hoovy said, "Hi Lance, do you remember where you got the Kart Surfer stock music from?"
No, all the music was done by Screenhawks. Don't ask me any music questions. I actually ran, I think the entire 13 years, I think I ran Club Penguin in mute.
Oh, really?
I don't run any music on my computer. I have no idea, guys. I have absolutely no idea.
So there's a very common question that keeps coming up, and I see it all over Twitter. I'm sure you've been bombarded with it, but people have been asking about you potentially buying back Club Penguin.
That'd be cool.
Is that even a possibility?
Is it a possibility? So, first of all, it's owned by the Walt Disney Company. I'm hopeful. There's been only one incidents where they've sold the property back to its creator, and that is Power Rangers was sold back to Sabam. I think it's called Sabam. Will they do it with another property? I don't know. It's entirely up to Disney, guys. But as a history, as a company, to my knowledge, there's never been a sale back.
There a lot of people are talking about that.
The best thing you guys can do is just put pressure on it, because they're a publicly traded shareholder company. If the shareholders think that Disney's making the wrong decision, then they're pressure the company to do so. I can't do it. I can't, like, I've told them, I said, I would buy it back if you're selling. They're like, well, we're not selling, so we can't have a conversation or whatever. But I'm always open to it.
Yeah.
It's if they do it. So it's their choice.
Let's see.
I could see something else happening. I could see that. I've always wondered why they didn't. Well, I shouldn't ever regret that way. I'm open to actually just working with them to reboot it. The trick is it can't be managed the way they want to manage it.
Yeah.
So
it's gotten pretty big.
Yes.
Management is definitely important. Somebody had asked, let's see, Halapuna, I believe, said, "Do you feel the future of Epic Snails could be promising? I feel like it has a lot of potential and would love to see it thrive."
Yes. I think it has in gaming what you need. It has something it has a hook. So when we start marketing and advertising, which we've not done yet, the idea of being a tank and being a snail is funny. So we can play off that. We can get people to start playing. The game itself, we've got the core loop in place, which is stick to walls, blast cannons, and shoot each other. And it's pretty fun. People do stick around, they all play. So that core loop's working. Now we're expanding that loop. So we're working on the skills, the achievements, the different systems for the game. And this is going to be a long process. So I'm committing to about a 2-year development cycle of slowly adding features. About every 1 to 2 weeks, we try to add a feature.
Wow.
So far, you guys haven't seen anything because we're all on mobile, all fired up.
Yeah.
And let you guys take a peek. I don't know if it's firing up. So, whoa. So it's pretty cool.
Wow.
I like playing it. I wish this loading screen was a little less slower. The beta should start within about a week or so. We're going to do a little different. So this beta is actually going to be, it's performing really well.
Huh.
The beta is going to be a little different. What I'm going to do is, if you're on the mailing list or if you're on there's a Facebook group as well, I'm going to start reaching out to key people first individually, because I really want to be talking to you as you're playing it, because there's a lot of bugs. I need you guys to start talking and telling me everything you hate about it. The biggest issue is it's multiplayer. We're pure multiplayer play. So the game is terrible when you're all by yourself. You have to get a friend.
Yeah.
So being on mobile, my hope is that we're going to give you guys codes, and then we're going to let you give your codes to your friends. This is the part we're working on right now. So that when you're sitting at a park or wherever you are, that's the coolest part, is you just say, hey, do you want to play with me? You just give them a code and they can install the game, and then you start playing right there.
Yeah. I really liked where Epic Snails was going. I played it on Steam, and that was really fun. It's so addictive. It's so much
It
fun.
is.
So I'm
It
really
is. I think
happy to see that you're expanding it onto mobile.
you're gonna like it. We got some features that really need to be added though, so that's why we're really slow. It needs a bit of an auto locking because when you're on a touch device, the movement and the shooting takes up all your control. Therefore, if anything, you have to remember on a mouse, when you move and fire, you're doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
You can't slide and tap on a phone because you have to release your finger to tap.
Yeah.
So you can't actually slide and tap.
I could imagine all the gestures must be so much hard for mobile.
So we're modeling it largely after World of Tanks Blitz. So our control systems and models are actually pretty identical, and we've had a lot of Blitz players playing for our test, and we're pretty happy. We think it's good. They like it because it's very comedic. It's very interesting. It's funny.
Yeah.
And as a business model, guys, there's no pay to win, no nothing. It's just cosmetic. If you want to look cool, great. Give us money. If you don't, I don't care. Play the game as much as you can. The only thing we really need right now is a lot of people that want to play.
Yeah.
And we're going to offer a special program at the very beginning. We haven't got a name for it yet, but we want to, if you want, when you do install it, turn the notifications on if you want to help us. And all the notifications are going to do is when a room is empty and one person shows up, it's just going to yell at it's going to spam you. It's going to say, please join and play because we need people playing.
Yeah.
Once you get to a critical number, then the game will just live by itself. But for now, some fans have said build single player levels. And I'm like, well, that's cool. But now suddenly I have a whole bunch of people playing single player levels that are not playing together.
Yeah.
So I'm building 2 games, not 1.
There was another question that I saw, and this one keeps popping up, but primarily Torres126 asked about what are your thoughts on Club Penguin Rewritten and other private servers for Club Penguin?
Cool. So a little backstory. I used to play Ultima Online all the time when it first came out. I was actually a bulletin board MUD player in 1992,
Wow.
94, way before. This is text-based multiplayer adventure games through dial-up modems that went. Ultima blew my mind. I got into game making because I ran an Ultima Online private server. Okay, the private server taught me how to build a world, run a world, get people to log in, got me through all the skills. It's exactly what you guys are doing. I got to manipulate the Ultima server, change the monsters, the bosses, everything. It was a role play style game.
Yeah.
I did more builder in it though, very Minecrafty. I just kept building more new worlds for all my friends to play. Then by 2000, so that was about 1999, 98. By 2000 is when I said, I'm going to build experimental penguins. And I've talked to the creators of actually Ultima Online. They love it. I said, you guys, I built Club Penguin as the junior version of Ultima Online. And they're like, what? And then they went and played Club Penguin and went, oh, it is. I adored their design documents and everything. I read everything about what they did. And then I, of course, ran a private server and learned everything, how they did it. So when I hear about Club Penguin Rewritten and stuff, it's a mix. The business side has to frown because there's some issues with it.
Yeah.
But the creator in me goes, go for it, learn, build it, play with your friends, see how to do it. But my hope for all of you is that you'll just go off and build your own worlds. Like start something. You've learned enough skills to know how to run one. Now go do something.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen Club Penguin Rewritten. I think it's actually quite interesting because most of the players on there are my age, maybe like 16, 17, 18. They're all of the older generation that used to primarily play Club Penguin back when we were younger. And they've just moved to a more nostalgic type of website that helps us, still do the same thing. And it's wild. It's absolutely wild.
Yeah, I get asked this all the time. I'm always asked, what age do you make games for? And I'm like, I don't. I said, I'm a board game designer. Forget all this stuff. Board games are correctly aged. Their ages on the board games are, at what age do you think someone will understand how to play? Not what age is the game for.
Yeah.
Club Penguin is a 6-year-old can play it. But the reality is a lot of what's in Club Penguin was never made for a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
You guys are older. You guys see the jokes and stuff in it. It's whatever you want it to be. There's nothing wrong with, like, I think the greatest thing in the world is just be creative. Why does creativity have to be a childlike behavior? No, be creative.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. It's really true. I got another question.
Though I'd love a darker side. I always wanted to add the wars. Like, where is the tactical snowball combat? Where's the trench fighting? Where's the snowball forts? The buildings, the bunkers.
I mean,
where are they?
People did turn that in. Like, they had the Club Penguin armies. I remember the nachos.
Yeah.
I mean, currently there's like the bean, the coffee, the what am I trying to say? The baristas versus the pizza chefs.
Oh, I wanted full out, like, go for it, like automatic. What, you guys? Come on, Mech Mice was Club Penguin with guns. That's all it was. Like, Epic Snails is Club Penguin with guns.
Yeah.
I grew up with G.I. Joe. That's all I played was G.I. Joe. So here I make this bright, colorful world where they throw snowballs. I'm like, oh, come on.
We need more.
More. My team kept banning my. I wanted a dead whale on the beach near the lighthouse once, and I wanted the puffles gnawing at its bones, and my team said no.
You know, maybe that's an idea. Create your version of Club Penguin and then put it out there and let everyone see what they think.
My father raised me on Monty Python. I have a terrible sense of humor.
I mean, it's a good sense of humor, though. You just got to find that right group of people.
Yeah, my team always pulled back. So secretly in the code, I wrote all the words. Your penguin is dead.
The puffle is dead.
Stuff. Oh, I wanted it when you were banned. You were put into a jail below the lighthouse.
There was the image. There was the image of the penguin in the jail shirt behind bars. I remember that coming out. But
my hope was that every time you logged in, I didn't want the message. I wanted you to log in and walk around your cell by yourself.
Oh my god. You know, I laughed, but I think that'd actually be really funny.
The team came back. It was too much technology to build.
Yeah.
It means you have to build a multiplayer server for one person to serve out their sentence. I don't know. I thought they should have done good behavior, printed the newspaper. I don't know.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. I think that would have been really entertaining. Because even the people that are banned, they can still go on. They just can't interact.
Anyway, my sixth sense of humor. I'm sorry. Sorry, everybody. I ruined your childhood.
Let's do one more question for time's sake. Let's see. There's
you guys, there's like a 10-second delay, just so you guys know, between your questions and the video.
Yeah. There was somebody that was asking. I saw the question. Dan Astrid has asked, "Can we have an update on your new game, Box Critters?"
Box Critters. Yes, Box Critters. So, my copycat of Club Penguin. It's been a tormenting journey. The Box Critters is just me, so everybody just needed to grasp. I'm the only one working on it. It's looking pretty cool. I wanted to go 2D, then I wanted to go 3D, and I've decided to go back to 2D. Now I've decided to just make it just like Club Penguin. Technology-wise, I'd say I'm probably about 70 to 80% done, most of the technology. I've got my early prototypes starting to get put together. I got a couple artists now I've hired. They're going to actually start by January. They're formerly actually from the Club Penguin team. So they're actually some of the background artists from the Club Penguin team.
Oh, wow.
And we're working on it. To give you guys a snapshot of what Box Critters is I wanted to try something a little different. So the idea of Box Critters is it's not Minecraft. So this is the confusion. Everybody's like, it's cubes. No, it's not cubes. The idea is I want everything to be collectible, spendable, and giveable. So I wanted to solve that problem. So the idea would be like every week, you guys ever follow things like Loot Crate and stuff? You hear what's going on the
Yeah.
internet. You get the fan crates, all that kind of thing.
Yeah, like every month they send you something.
So I want this like little. Imagine a little world like Club Penguin, where every week a box arrives, and you unpack it and you do something with it. So what I want you guys to do is when Halloween arrives, it includes Halloween. So it has all the Halloween costumes, Halloween decorations, Halloween everything.
Yeah.
You go at it. It unlocks some Halloween themed rooms, some Halloween adventures, but overall it's your box, your world. You can also take all the stuff you got and put it in boxes and give it to your friends. And also everything is kind of collectible. So I had these weird ideas like you have to learn to emote. The idea is that, but it's freely given. So if you send out a smiley emote, you might only have one smiley emote in your inventory. But once you give out a smiley emote, everybody in the room now has one smiley emote in their inventory.
Okay.
But you'd have to go on a quest to find the coffee emote.
That's cool. That's a really cool idea.
So it's this whole consuming box driven loot dropping surprise system. So instead of there's a lot of research in gaming about like not loot crates, not that whole controversy that EA is doing right now. The idea of blind dropping, collecting, and earning through leveling and adventuring and missions, etc. So I really wanted to weave in this idea of this infinite world of boxes, the whole idea of what's in the box, open the box.
Yeah.
If you guys want on YouTube, there's a video. It's not Michael Bay. Who's the director? It's one of the directors. Go look up his a movie director, Black Box. And he talks about this black box in this video. He has this black box in his office, and everybody wants to know what's in the box, but you don't know what's in the box, and it's this awesome mystery. So that's the world. The game itself is you are a box, your cube, your box, and you just make yourself. So you make yourself a raccoon, elephant, whatever you want to be, and then you start. It's everything. I just wanted to mash up as if you were a kid building stuff in boxes.
To build something out of a box, you gotta think outside the box.
Outside the box. So this is just an idea I've been toying with. It's essentially Club Penguin, but really focused around this idea of got to open the box, see what's in it, unravel it. Everything. The slogan on the website I think says "Unpacking Your Adventure" or something like that. So that's the teaser for the whole product. That's really it. You're gonna get a box. So like 1 month you might get the box and it's a mission. Go solve the box, which of course gives you another box.
Yeah. It's all about what's in the box.
What's in the box? Give the box.
No, that sounds really exciting though. That sounds really cool. I'll be excited.
So I'm almost there.
Yeah,
almost there. It's going to take a lot of art. The biggest thing with any of those games is art. It's just like Club Penguin, lots and lots of art.
Yeah.
So, if you guys, I think I posted some pictures. It's pretty cool.
All right. Well, thank you so much. I've definitely really enjoyed this. I'm sure everybody else watching has as well. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview and to help me out with this game. So thank you so much. Appreciate it. I'll be including all of Lance's links to websites, social media, all that stuff in the description. So if you want to check him out, see his projects, download his games, if you haven't already, you'll be able to do that there. So again, thank you so much, Lance. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Don't forget my joke. I'm a snail, therefore it's really slow. So don't expect my game to be quick. And the rocket's not for speed.
The new slogan. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.